first show I went to, like, these are kids my age. Finding out that you could even do it. You mean you can just be in a band? That was a mind-blowing concept to me. Like, I want to do that. When I first started doing music, it was just excitement for music. Then get to, record number 2 or 3, it becomes a little more important. You hear stories, we all hear stories from fans, some of them very mind-blowing, like saved my life stories. And then it like hits you like, this is more important than we thought it was. I think that is a driving force as well. When I joined, you're switching out a vocalist. That's not easy to do. That's a pretty big turning point, and of course, big shoes to fill. But I toured that first record, and I had the songs that I wanted to do, and that's how they went. And I wasn't really into changing anything. It was really hard to get through that record because of that, but I learned my lesson, basically. By the time I got to Redeemer, it was completely different, and it was a lot more open and free. I think Meridiona is a big turning point. I think that's when Norma Jean had finally found something that was ours. It sounded like us, that blended heavy music, the type of melodies that we wanted, and the entire vibe. Norma Jean up to now is built on that foundation, I would say. We're at a point now where it's time to do that again, turn the chapter, and find something else.
I joined right after Meridiona came out. We just expanded on what was going on that record from all the records I was on, from Wrongdoers to All Hail, and then I'm not on the new one. So even that, I would consider that a turning point too, because I feel like once I joined, me and Cory were sort of the primary songwriters, and then when I left and Grayson was it, now it's these two guys, so it's like, there's definitely like the eras and the turning points of the sound. Grayson was doing tours with us before he ever started writing, so you sort of find out the vibe pretty quick with someone on the road if they really like understand what Norma Jean is about.
I like catered basically my entire musical existence to being in this band before I was in this band. I bought all the same gear that these guys had. I like just wanted to be this band. So I did everything I could to like get the vibe of it and understand the assignment.
Bring him in and added something we didn't have before. That fresh, I don't want to say fresh meat.
I know. The word.
It's just new blood is what it is.
Yeah, it's just a fresh perspective in general, I think.
That kind of fuel is incredible. I actually recommend it, honestly. You have to be careful about things like writer's block or burnout. I think the biggest thing to do is to make sure you're seeing the results of what you're creating. If you're stuck in a long phase of writing and you feel like burned out, or it's because you're not seeing the results of your work, find ways to do that.
It helps me, like, if I feel writer's block, I'll take like the most recent grouping of songs that I'm working on, and I won't sit at like my studio desk and listen to them. I'll listen to it in the car, and I'll listen to them consecutively and try to get my head back in the like same zone that I was in when I did this group of songs, at least. Capture the same vision that I'm going for, but also just like enjoy the thing that I've been working on. Because when you're sitting at the desk writing it, you're not listening to it from like a fan perspective. So if you can remove yourself a little bit and just like the product that you're creating, it will, for me at least, it excites me to keep making it.
I've definitely suffered burnout. I mean, I wasn't in this band for 5 years, so I used to, just write with all this like pressure on my own expectations being high and stuff like that. Nowadays, like, I will sit down in my little home studio and I will start writing, and if it is not going good, I just stop. It's either on that day or it's off, and it's not a big deal. So I just kind of like let it happen when it happens.
Every time like more is added, it kind of takes you a step back, even if it's a good song, but what we create is so like dynamic and wide that the more you put in it, the harder it is to focus it. So then it like takes like decisiveness to focus it. It gets pretty clear over time, just like what songs get the most treatment and what songs like are just the best.
Our process is chaotic.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, it's it's very chaotic, but there's a method to the madness, I guess. There's something about having a tour looming as well, and you're trying to write. You want to be free from that. I'm kind of at the point now where I feel like having a live foundation is imperative. I think it's something we have to do. Because I know the song live more than I know it from record. 1 Million Watts is a good example. Like, I can tell that the tempo is too good. You know, and live, there's ups and downs, and it's more of a feeling. The first 3 shows, that song felt slow. And so Matt and Jeff pushed it a little bit, and then now it's fine. Just from a slight tempo change, that song has a different reaction now in the room.
With 1994, that song, the whole record we didn't track live, but that song was me and Matt just standing in front of each other and tracking it. And we overdubbed the second guitar and whatnot, but most of it is just very raw in the room. And you can hear it, you can hear all the stuff that's happening around it. And if we had tried to play that song to a click and just in the chair behind a desk, it would have been useless.
If people want to use backing tracks, that's their prerogative. They want to do it. But that's never been something I've done. That's never been me. That's never sounded right to me. I used to get all worked up about where things are now. But it's just, things change, so.
Yeah, I never want to tell another band how to do their band.
Yeah, and technology is cool. I used to be one of those guys that hated the amp modelers and all that stuff. And now when I'm at home, I just plug straight into my computer. I don't even use my amps. For me, and I'm sure for us in general, it's just more old school, natural sort of thing.
Deathrattle's to me, the end. That's the way I kind of see it. It's not necessarily a new chapter, it's more like a new book. Who knows, maybe it'll be totally misunderstood, but it needs to happen. Something needs to be shaken up a little bit, I think, because we get bored really fast. That's one reason.
I was you can't keep doing the same shit.
Yeah, I know that's very simple sounding, but we want to be challenged. Like I said, if it's going to be misunderstood, that's what we'll call it, but we'll still be glad that we did it. And we'll say that's transitional to the next thing, and we'll keep going. That's what this tour kind of is that we're doing now. Let's do this really long tour. Come see us, because after this, we're on a break. We're doing LP 10.
It's a lot bigger than just a rock band, you know? There's like a mutual respect between everybody involved in this that like sees it for what it is, but sees it like also something that is very like rare. In my humble, somewhat biased opinion, like this isn't gonna be a thing again. I know personally that I will not have this type of experience again. So it's something that I cherish and that is worth sacrifice, and it's worth a lot of bullshit that like goes into doing this type of thing. And I think we all share that to some degree.
Absolutely.